Interactions between input form and output template. One of the main use cases of Ditto is creating a PDF document based on the output PDF template. But Ditto also provides tools for designing input HTML forms, which can be later used for filling in the data for output template and submitting into server for the PDF generation. So I'm gonna show an example of an application in Ditto project, which will be a simple case of invoice form and PDF with receipt for such interaction. Let's start by creating project from scratch. First, let's design a data sample, so we can work around it during designing the input HTML form and output PDF. So for receipt, we would need name, need email, we also would need address, and let's fill in some items. Which would need a name, and a price. Let's add another one. Okay, here we have a data sample, and now we can start with designing a receipt. So let's link our data sample to the fields, so we can create a connection between our template and our data. And now let's add a simple table. items to the table row so it can be multiplied, and let's link item and the price itself to the respected cells. Let's also add a total field where we will calculate all the prices. Okay, since the price is a number, we can also specify the display format. And for total as well. Here I want to show always two numbers after the decimal delimiter. Okay, let's try it out and see how it looks like. Now, simple enough, but that will do for our example. Now we can design an input template to fill in the same data for our PDF generation. So let's add an input form. And we need to fill in, let's call it full name. As you can see here, we use text fields instead of rich text with bindings. In general, the input and output templates can be completely different in terms of design. We just need to work with the same data model. So we have to table for okay, let's stylize it a bit. Okay, now let's link our data model to the new fields. we can do it just by drag and dropping the data from sample to our fields. Yeah, let's not forget to add a display format. And the same, and then the calculation, and a displayed form onto total field. And here we will put okay, let's take a look. That looks correct. So also we can make the table rows interactive by adding repeatable controls. So if we look at it now, yeah, we can add new items here, like and the total is updated, as you can see. Now to the submission part. For the input forms we have a special element called the submit button. So when you press on this button, it will collect all the data from the form and set it to the submission URI, and there we would have a backend application ready that will process this data submission and generate a PDF file. So let me put the URI. I'm using this one because I will be deploying my example application locally and running it locally. Our data project is ready and we can export it now. Okay. Now let's copy it to okay, let's copy it to the folder with our application and take a look at the example application itself. So at first let's take a look at the POM file. Here, as you can see, we are using Drop Wizard, but you can use whatever framework you want for developing a server application. Among important stuff, here we have a dependency on Ditto SDK. This SDK will contain some tools that will help us work with our project file that we have copied to the directory of our example application. Now let's take a look at the config file I will be using. Here is some Drop Wizard related configuration. Here I specify a path to working directory. This is the path where we will deploy our input form and where we will store our generated PDF documents. Here is the path to the project that we have generated. here is the name of input form, and here is the name of the output template, and here is the path to the license file. Okay, so now we can take a look at some usage of D2SDK encode. So at first, when we run an application, we need to load the license file. Here, as you can see, we have a method for it. Then we just parse the configuration, and we need to deploy the input form from our project, so it can be used by this application and can be served as an HTML file. In this application, we will have static HTML file that will use our input form as an iframe, but you can serve it directly. For that, we have another method in our SDK that accepts the exported project. It should accept name of the input template and the folder to which we want to deploy it. So at first I create the folder from the configuration, clean it because it should be clean, and I deploy the template. This method return parse to ready-to-use HTML file, and here I renaming it to index.html, so it can be statically referenced from our static asset file. And here, as you can see, I'm configuring the drop wizard to serve both the static file and our form file. So here here's the way how I reference our input form with an iframe, and I'm using index.html here. Okay, now to the submission processing. This example application also registered a REST API method for processing the submissions. Here how it looks, again very simple. As you can see, I declare a post method that accepts custom media type for data submissions. At first I need to parse it. For this we have a helper method. Here I parse the data submission in JSON. Here I just create a name for a PDF, and then I can use the SDK again to generate a PDF file with a call to a PDF producer. I would need to path to our project archive that was parsed from configuration, the template name, the path to the output file, and a submission parsed from request. Okay, now let's run it and see how it works. Okay, it has finally launched, and let's go to here's, as you can see, a static HTML file with our input form embedded. Now we can try to fill it in. Okay, let's press submit. See notification about successfully process submission. And now if we look in our output folder, here we have some files already generated from previous launches, and here's the current one. So if we open it up, we can see that data have been successfully transferred to the server, and it have generated a PDF document with it. Same as past here. So that's it for me. Thanks for attention.